Welcome back to the second quarter of the Bobby Dupre Show, along with Andrew Guitros, my sidekick. And we were talking about sports. What about the Bluegrass Miracle?
It's the anniversary. What, 10 years? Is that what it is?
Something like that. And the person who got the most glory out of this is none other than Devery Henderson, our own boo-boo from Opelousas, Louisiana. I was sitting right there between the 15 and 10 yard line.
At Kentucky.
At Kentucky. Saw the whole thing develop in front of my eyes. They thought I was the great man that day, because I had been boasting of how good he was.
Talking about him all day.
All day, and then all of a sudden he really
wins
does.
The game.
And he will get credit for that, as long, kind of like Billy Cannon in what, 1957 or 58, the big play.
59, somewhere around there.
Somewhere in that time, 50 years ago.
Right.
Still getting a lot of play. And then Devery Henderson is going to also get a lot of play out of being the receiver.
59, Halloween night.
Halloween night. Okay, good. And
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I caught that train of thought. Devery will always be thought of as one of those great.
Yeah, and he also caught the pass that broke the record for
touchdowns in consecutive games in the NFL.
In the NFL, Drew Brees, and he was the as they called him in the paper, he was deserving because he's the senior receiver on the squad.
10 years he's been a pro.
10 years he's been a pro, right at it, and does real good, and don't ever hear anything but good about him, and we're proud of you. Yeah. And ex-Texas coach for many years, very successful, and he also invented the wishbone offense.
Right.
And I'm speaking, of course, of the Darrell Roy from Texas.
Darrell
Royal. And some other folks who we want to talk about, deceased, Miss Glenda Elizabeth Duhan. And how do I know her? It says here from Scott. Well, I know her husband, Ronis. We call him Ron. And I meet him at the suppers at Bobby Duhan's. And, of course, Ron and Bobby Duhan are brothers. That's Bobby Duhan's sister-in-law. And she died recently, and she had been ill for a period of time. So we want to certainly wish the family our condolences. And another person who died, I didn't know, but I know two people that are part of his family, and I'm speaking of Russell, better known as Doc Lacombe from Port Barre. Well, originally from Port Barre is what I understand. They show here Opelousas. I guess he was living here at the time. But he has a daughter, Audrey, who's married to Kenneth Cummins, who I've known since they were young people. He and his brother Charles, who I ride motorcycles with now. And then Linda McCormick, that's Carl McCormick, Mr. Randolph's son Carl, that's his wife. So, and some others, but those are the two that I recognize right off, our deepest sympathies. And then I think it was right after the program? No. This happened on Wednesday. And we taped
on Tuesday evening, so first thing Wednesday morning, we'd normally be doing the show to hear about it, but...
Cheryl Fontenot, and of course Cheryl, when you say Cheryl Fontenot, you talking, people would say, well, you're talking about Cheryl at the St. Leonard Homestead.
Correct.
Because he had been there for close to 30 years. Very personable person, always with a great smile, and he had an untimely death. I guess that's the best way to describe. Untimely death, not 69 years old, a young kid, still wet behind the ears.
When you had Toby's Little Lodge, that's when I got to know him. We'd come and have a couple of cold beers after work, and everybody get together and cut up. And I talked with Cheryl in those days.
And what was it? Was it tennis or racquetball?
I'm not sure which one.
He was connected with some sports that he kept up with over the years. And then a sad death occurred to Shelton Broussard, who was a legend with the Opelousas Zydeco music scene. And
part of what is it, Zydeco Force?
Yeah, Zydeco Force. He was part of that band, and a fire broke out in the mobile home he was living in.
So a lot of that Zydeco music always had that fast beat, but they kind of get that loud hollering going where they do that, and they were the first band I ever heard do that. He was the man.
He was the man. He was the man that did that. And over the weekend, a person died. He might have died like Friday, but I never heard about it, and I certainly would have gone to the wake, if not the funeral. And I'm speaking of Dale Richard from Sunset. Dale was a successful farmer. He worked for Dominic Stockyards for a number of years, purchased some very valuable land, sold it over the years, did real well. He and his wife was, I'll get it out in a minute. Grace Girard, and Girard, she was my typing teacher in the 9th grade. We took that as a crip course. And when I graduated from SLI and went immediately into the insurance business, the first thing I had to do was type a policy.
Right.
And I could remember her trying to teach us guys the importance of typing, but I was in there, we called it a crip course, just exactly, and I told her that later on when we became
friends. Get a good grade and roll on.
And she of course, was deceased for a number of years, but Dale had, what I remember about Dale, well, we served on a school board together, I remember that very well. He was president for several years, and I remember him coming about a year and a half ago. He called me. He said, "Where you going to be tonight?" I said, "I'm going to be at the Evangeline Downs at the races." He says, "I'll be there." And I'm not so sure if we didn't have a horse that won that night and came and took a picture with me. But I think that took place. So I had some real fond memories. And of course, he has one sister, and that's Roberta Monte. And of course, her husband is Mr. Henry Monte, and Henry was a superintendent at one period during his career. And he has one of the most beautiful lawns when you're going down between Sunset and Cankton, Louisiana, on the right, just a few miles out of town. And he has one arm and takes care of all that beautiful flowers.
He must have been the guy who succeeded John. No, I think when John was, he must have been
right
the
in
next
that.
guy.
I think he was the next one. That's correct.
How you like that?
One more death, and it's Miss Aline Lafon. And of course, she's from the Lafon funeral family. And she was, does it say her age here? She was born in 1920. So that's what,
92?
92 years old. They had a habit of living pretty old in that family. Our deepest sympathies to her family.
There you go. And let's talk about another sponsor. Let's go with LHC Group. All your home health care needs. LHC Group can help you with the equipment. That's the beds, the oxygen stuff, the lift chairs. They can help you with the button you press for help. If you want to call for an ambulance at your home, they can set up that type of equipment. They can bring in the nurses, the physical therapists, all the home health care you need, palliative and hospice care as well. They also have the Health and Wellness Center in Opelousas. They're located with sister companies throughout the entire United States. Louisiana Healthcare, all about helping people.
Get one more.
One more. Let's go with Dixie Storage. All your storage needs, personal and commercial, throughout St. Landry Parish at locations in Port Barre, Opelousas, and Washington. They can do everything from your big RVs to your boats. They can do just a little bitty home type stuff you want to put in there. Maybe you're a business. You need a whole warehouse with loading docks, forklift supply. Let them do inventory control for you. They've got railroad spur access as well, certified scales at their locations. Don't forget about their sister company, A+ Glass, with locations in Lafayette and here in Opelousas. They can do all your glasswork, personal, commercial for your home, your car, and inspections from everything from your little bitty subcompact MG all the way up to your 18-wheeler.
Well, we spoke about Mr. Carl McCormick a few minutes ago. His father-in-law died, Mr. Lacombe, and of course, Carl has duties of truck driving for Dixie One Trucking, which is part of the family.
Exactly. where they can truck your stuff between their warehouses for inventory control or finish delivering your load for you.
Had a chance to talk to 2 people prior to going on the program, and I think I can cover both of them easily in the time I have here before the second quarter ends. And I'm speaking of the Sunset Pharmacist. It's going to have its annual Christmas social known as Jingle Mingle, and jingle and mingle. You go in and the little bells are going to be ringing, and you'll mingle with your friends, and you can really, the gifts, all the gifts are reduced. The prices are very, very competitive. And of course, I'm speaking of the owner, Cassidy Richard, Cassidy Leger, that's Larry and Diane's beautiful young daughter. And Cassidy remembers that I had gone, I think it was 2 years ago. She held it, and I really had a nice time. Saw people that I normally wouldn't see. You know how it is, because you have a habit of going to those same places all the time. Well, this was a different evening, and she says, I remember when you came, you're going to come again. I said, I'm going to try to make it. And that's on the 20th, so that's this coming Tuesday from 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. And one of their specialties is children's clothing. And you don't have that in too many places. Real classy, but you know, moderately priced clothing.
And it's the holidays. You want to get those little outfits.
You want to get them. You want to give them a little gift. You have a godchild, or you
want to dress them up to bring them to the Christmas party,
whatever. That's it. They're going to have giveaways, and they're going to have foods and drinks, and she calls it her Customer Appreciation Afternoon and Night. Sunset Pharmacy, and that's on Napoleon, which is the main drag right on through Sunset, Louisiana.
Not this weekend, but next, the Knights of Columbus 1173 will be outside St. Andrew Church for all the masses doing a Tootsie Roll drive, selling Tootsie Rolls to help the Opelousas Cerebral Palsy Clinic. When you see your Knights of Columbus member, please donate. And want to remind everybody, our Breakfast with Santa, which we're meeting with the chefs next week, when the letters are going to go out this week, it's going to be on December the 5th, Wednesday, December the 5th. Our breakfast is from 7 a.m. till 9 a.m. at the Indian Hills Country Club, like it is every year. It's our 9th one. You know, we're trying to remember if it was 10 or 9?
I thought it was 10.
It's 9. 9. 9th one over at the country club.
Means I'll have to just go another year at least to make that 10th. That's right.
Or we got to get to 100.
Yeah.
If it's 10 or 100, we won't. But
as long as we can, we will.
You can email us with your address. I'll make sure to send you an invite at bobbydupre@kdcg.com. You can give me a call at 351-0732. If you've gotten a letter from us in the past, you'll get another one this year with tickets and the whole 9 yards. And y'all know the routine. $25 donation. 100% of that money goes direct to buying therapy for these special needs kids.
And they are special needs. These kids, most of them, I was thinking, I woke up around 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and you go to thinking, and not lately I've been thinking about and giving you names of people that in the past have not been asked to donate, and we asking everybody, but then some people feel they want the invitation. Please don't feel that way. We can't.
You send us a note, we'll get it to you, or give me a call.
Next year you will be on that mailing list. I got to thinking, and you know, there's very few of these youngsters that can walk. You know, we never talk about how bad the therapy that they receive gives them that muscle strength enough,
dexterity,
to at least be able to. Some of them can talk. A lot of them can't even talk and can't use the hands. And those that can use the hands, the therapy helps them do a few little things on their own.
And we
otherwise, somebody has to watch that child 24 hours a day, 365 days a year.
And the goal is to take a few steps, and it may be a 10-year goal that literally not until they're 8 or 10 years old before they can get to the point of taking steps. So whatever you do, it helps these kids, helps keep them mobile, keeps all those muscles going so that the lungs and the heart keep working. So whatever you guys can do to help. We're on the end of our half hour. We're going to have to take a 1-minute break for TV and radio. Thank you all for watching so far. We'll have a bunch of photos in the next half hour. We'll see you on the other side of a minute.